Peter Navarro, who has just given an interview to Fox News, where he has said, and I quote, that the court ruling is weaponized partisan injustice. So he's accused the federal court, which has said that Donald Trump cannot impose tariffs on other countries without congressional approval. He has accused the court system of being weaponized and partisan. Of course, the court system in the US is appointed by the political system. So if we happen to say that the Supreme Court at times in the US could take partisan decisions based on ideological party leanings, maybe, I don't know. But this is what he has said. So he's doubling down on tariffs, and that's the feedback there. Okay, let me quickly sort of open this up because our time is limited. Jayant Krishna, how are you guys absorbing this?
I for one have always felt the need for a far greater and tighter integration of Indian economy with that of China, right? People may say that that's a country can't be trusted and so on and so forth. We have so many open border issues, geopolitical issues which are pending. But I fundamentally believe in today's day and age, if the economics works well between two countries, geopolitical stuff automatically falls in place, right? I mean, that's what I believe. COVID saw that how more and more, countries were looking at, locating their manufacturing supply chains at destinations other than China, right? I mean, at least there are additional investments not going to China, those kind of things. And India has been a forerunner. And some opportunities came our way, some investments came our way, but not to an extent it should have happened. The primary reason has been there was a very inadequate integration of our economy, our manufacturing supply chains with that of China. I've been saying that very clearly. China accounts for today almost 19% of global GDP, right? And if you go by purchasing power parity, their size of their economy is already ahead that of the US. Otherwise, they are second largest economy in the world, right? And still, the gap between our economy and Chinese economy is so huge, is almost, 6 times. Chinese economy is 6 times bigger than Indian economy, right? So the only thing is we have to play our cards very well. We have to do it. We have to collaborate with them. And I somehow feel there is a far greater, in terms of manufacturing, whatever joint ventures we have or whatever investments we have from China, we have to be more open, first of all,
okay,
for more.
I'm sorry to interrupt you, sir, because for the past several years, the trajectory has been the exact opposite of what you're saying. The trajectory has been China +1 and India is the +1. The trajectory has been independent supply chains. The trajectory has been we have to boost our own manufacturing, and the trajectory has been that we need to do all of these things in tune with the Americans. You are now saying that the opposite is true?
Sure, past mistakes can be corrected also, right? I mean, we were very friendly to the US, right? Last 25 years, starting from Mr. Atal Bihari Vajpayee, then Dr. Manmohan Singh, then Mr. Modi, with the 3 prime ministers and perhaps 4 presidents on their side, we have seen how relationship evolved, right? From a mere partnership to something more strategic, right? But what do we get at the end of the day? We get 50% tariff, right? And why US has not been able to levy that kind of a tariff on China is because the economic indispensability China has been able to get all over the world. Some of the product lines that they have, some of the exports that they do to different countries, including that to the US,
Okay, hold your thought. I just want to educate the conversation because I've just got a copy of this morning's edition of the New York Times. Now, I know Donald Trump is not a fan of the New York Times. I am not a fan of the New York Times, okay? But here is what it is. It is very rarely that India gets a mention in the American press because the Americans frankly give 2 hoots about anything other than themselves, and I'm being reasonable here. This is what the headline says: striking split between Trump and Modi. Then the article then goes on to say repeated public and exuberant efforts in solving the India-Pakistan conflict. It goes on to talk about what has happened in the conversation, the commentary that has taken place. It is also talking about what all disparaging comments that have taken place. Let me just quickly read this out. That Trump, who's been repeatedly saying that he has solved the military conflict between India and Pakistan, on a phone call on June 17th, which has already been referred to, he brought it up again. how proud he was to end the military escalation. He mentioned that Pakistan was going to nominate him for the Nobel Peace Prize. The not so subtle implication, according to people familiar with the call, was that he wanted Narendra Modi to do the same. The Indian leader, we are being told Donald Trump that the US involvement had nothing to do with him. Now, and I mentioned this when the original part of this came out a couple of days ago, I can vouch for it. I've had it from as senior sources as you can possibly get in government, because I couldn't believe it. That did PM Modi tell him directly or imply that we did it ourselves? No, he told him directly, President Trump, we came to a ceasefire with the Pakistanis on a Pakistani request. You had nothing to do with it. Okay? But he's non-stop still saying that he had something to do with it, and the Pakistanis are going, yeah, sure, it was all you. And it's happening. So, it is a context. Now, if this is the context and is limited to it, quickly, and just for a little bit of quick perspective, just to get the larger picture into play here, sir. There is going to be damage. This is not all innocent rhetoric happening anymore. In very real terms, the American economy is going to suffer, and that's not good news for us. And we are going to have a hole in our exports, whether it's 20, 30, 40, 50 billion dollars. Jayan Krishna, what do we do?
See, I'm at no point of time I'm saying we can ignore the US, right? I mean, the fact is we have to fast track the negotiations. We have to make sure that on the other side of the table, people who understand economics, people who understand international trade, they represent the US, and then we reach out and tell them about the kind of issues where India has not been flexible, like the dairy sector, like the farm sector, and so on and so forth, and why India is not flexible, right? We have to repel the myth that India is a tariff king, right? I mean, the weighted average of all products that we export to, that US exports to India, the weighted average of all tariff put together is just about 4.6%. Almost 50% of the products, have a tariff of less than 5% or less, right? So I think we have to keep on dialoguing with them. And the fact is, if we have to become a developed nation by the year 2047, if not earlier, right, our economy has to grow at 8.5%.
For more such videos, subscribe to the NewsX YouTube channel, hit the bell icon.